Hey, good morning, everyone at home. I hope you're having a nice, safe week with your pets, your families, your animals, your friends, with your books, with your art, with your craft, with the hobby that you've always wanted to get into, and now you have nothing but that staring at you. I hope you guys are getting into it and finding some gratification in that. Today we've got a lot going on. We're going to do a little bit of strength work, then we have an option of either being a long or a short workout. The reason we're doing an option of the long or short workout is because like I notice I wear a Garmin that tracks my activity for the day, and when I'm doing the workouts and I'm coaching all day, I'll burn like 3,500 calories. Without coaching, I only burn like 2,500 calories. So just because we're like cooped up and everything else, we have an option to go long here. But if you are an athlete that still has to go to work or still has to like be very active in their day-to-day, they're not just cooped up in their house, you can do the short version and still have some energy left over for your day. Okay. First of all, we're gonna talk about the workout. The workout is gonna be at home with Mary. At home with Mary. Mary is a 20-minute AMRAP of handstand push-ups, alternating pistols, which is a single leg squat, and then pull-ups. A lot of us at home don't have a pull-up bar. We may not have a space we can do handstand push-ups. Alternating pistols you can do if you have a skill, but we have a lot of modifications for that we're going to talk about as well. So one round is 5 piked handstand push-ups for at home. That means you're going to go off that bench that we've been using all week, that couch for me. You can do 10 alternating pistols. I'm going to show you a demonstration of how to do assisted pistols as well. Basically, it's a single leg squat, so all of your body weight goes on that single leg. Really fun burn there. And then we're going to do bent over rows instead of pull-ups with whatever load we've been using or getting accustomed to throughout the week. Probably going to be the same load that we're using for these the strength portion, which is some deadlifts. Okay. If you are tight on time, let's do about 6 to 8 rounds of that work, and you want to go fast and hot on that. So modify. Even in the middle of the workout, if you find yourself getting taxed muscularly where you need to stop because your heart's not tired but because your pressors are tired, let's go ahead and modify that. Want you to keep moving, want you to keep your heart rate up. So modify in order to keep going, okay? Don't like take 20 seconds off because you're not sure if you can get another push-up in. Caveat, all of these push-ups count for Hump Day to Hump Day Challenge push-ups, okay? Then if you have the time and you have the energy, you want to go long, let's go for 10 to 12 rounds of this, okay? That'll take you a bit of time. I'd say it's going to take all of us a little bit of time because we're navigating a very strange space and we're not trying to slam around our apartment and everything else. So that's looking at like probably 20 or 30 minutes, I'd say, to do 12 rounds of this after a while. Now, the strength part of this is going to be a single leg Romanian deadlift. We have not done these. Romanian deadlift, single leg Romanian deadlift is basically trying to keep a somewhat straight leg. Slightly bent is okay, but we really want to feel it in our hamstrings, whereas when we do traditional deadlifts, once that bar gets below our knee, we bend those knees to let those quads take like a pressing action. We're going to not do that for the Romanian deadlift. We're going to keep our leg as straight as we can so that we feel this really tight pull in our hamstring. It's going to help with the flexibility of our hamstring. It's also going to help develop our hamstring strength. And it's very much kind of a theme we're going with, single leg work today. But performance of that are going to have a slight bend in the knee, but mostly straight. We're going to really have to keep a tight core to keep a lot of control as we balance. We're going to have to keep our shoulders set back since we're holding that load, and just to know that you're doing it right if you're feeling it in your hamstrings, okay? So I've got here, going to warm up here. We're going to start off with some mountain climbers into some put planks into down dog. We're going to try to be gymnasty on that, so rounded shoulders and then opening our shoulders in the down dog and feeling that hamstring get loosened up. Then we're going to do some elevated pigeons to open up our hips a little bit, and then we're going to do some elevated lunges. That way we can really articulate our ankle flexibility and get those ready for those pistols. And then just to get our pressors ready, we're going to do some dive bomb push-ups. I'll show those off as well. Get into our strength work, and then our WOD prep is going to be just a couple of rounds of some pike push-ups, some narrow squats, and some bent over rows. We're going to do a 4-6-8 rep scheme. And as you get through these rounds, go and further into what you're capable of doing. So if you have pistols, let's start going into pistols. We'll talk about doing weighted pistols if that helps you with balance. I say that's a great idea because it's also going to be more weight on your leg. So it's kind of a cheat because it helps you keep balance, but it's also kind of a performance plus because you're squatting single leg with extra weight on your hands. So I have no problems with that either. This is it. It's a long one for you today. We'll get into the WOD prep and standard soon. All right, guys, I'm gonna start this warm up. It's kind of funny because the more time we spend in my living room, the more you see my mess start to evolve. I really cleaned. Day one of this, I was like, I want to make people think that I have a nice situation, but it's starting to look more like normal. So thanks for bearing with me. Shout out to John Klein for this sweet ass tripod for my phone. You are the best. All right, let's do this, guys. Starting off with 40 mountain climbers just to get our abs turned on the legs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. See, I'm rounding my shoulders just like this. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. Just to get that blood going a little bit. We're gonna go into 15 planks into down dog. Get our hamstrings or shoulders really working into that overhead position. So from here, I want a nice, tight, hollow hold. See, I'm rounded in my shoulders. That's my plank. And then I'm going to open up my thoracic spine for that down dog. Now, my hamstrings are a little tight by character, so I'm not fully locking up, but if you can, you're awesome. That's one. Try to hold these for 2 to 3 seconds each time. There's 5. My head comes through here. Try to put that chin to chest or just look through to your feet. If you want to get a little more stretch, you can pump your legs while you're down here. I think that's 8. You should feel a burn, a good burn, a comfortable burn. That's 10 in your shoulders here. And 15. Good, we're still recording. Awesome. Now I've got some elevated pigeon we're going to use this couch to really get my leg shooting back. I'm going to take my foot up and try to make a crossbar here, and I'm going to lean into this. I'm going to hold this for like a 30-second count. Does not have to be precisely 30 seconds. Just count in your head and kind of move those hips around. The closer you get your chest to this flat surface down here, the better it's going to be. Call it 10. 20. And do it. Make sure you guys can all see my beautiful pigeon pose. Other leg. Shoot that rail, trailing leg back as far as you can, almost like you're straightening it. Now, next thing we're going to do is an elevated just lunge. If you don't have an elevated surface that you feel good putting your feet on, that's fine. You can go flat to the ground. I'm gonna go flat to the ground today because I've got my boots on. And I'm gonna try and get my knee as well past my toes as I can. And I'm gonna take my body weight and bear down on it. This is to open up our hips, but it's really gonna feel in your calf and your Achilles. Those pistols we're gonna do later on. Even if you're doing an assisted pistol, it's about keeping your feet right underneath your butt. So there's a lot of ankle flexion that happens. Your knee's gonna really travel forward, which is rare for our squats. When we train normal squats, back squats, air squats, we wanna try to keep our knees above or past or like behind our toe. And here, it's a whole different stimulus. Whole different movement pattern that we're going for here. And once you do a handful of these, the next day you'll be like, oh my gosh. When you think about it, if you just do an air squat, you weigh 200 pounds like I do, that's 100 pounds on each leg, right? But if you do a pistol squat, a single leg squat, you're gonna put all of that body weight on one leg. That's 200 pounds on one leg. That's the equivalent of you, I guess, taking 200 pounds on a back squat and squatting it, right? Maybe a front squat, more ankle flexion there. Squatting 200 pounds for one would theoretically be doing a body weight pistol squat for one, right? So it's quite a bit of intensity we're doing. And so I think a lot of us will want to scale that. Go back up. And then we're gonna do some dive bomb push-ups. Now there's a couple of options for these. What I'm gonna do, my start is to go into a down dog, press and just basically miss the ground into, is this a Sphinx pose, a lion's pose? This is not a yoga class, so I don't know. And then we can go back into it here, and again, and if we want to add a little bit more intensity to that warm-up, if we're capable of doing it, we can come back down and sort of reverse that pattern and push up. It's kind of difficult, especially on this hardwood floor. I don't have a ton of traction like if I was on the rubber floor of a box. So I'll just stay here for now. Now, if we don't have that, we'll go ahead and just do a pike push-up and then go ahead and face up, okay? We're going to 5 to 8 of these just to continue warming up our shoulders, but they're pretty good from those scap planks to down dog. I'll go for one more. Gotta be honest, I don't know if I'm gonna count those for the hump to hump challenge, but they do feel like a push-up to me. So maybe I'll review the video and give myself those points. All right, we're gonna go into standards now. Okay, so for the Romanian single leg deadlifts, just so you know, it's actually technically a little bit difficult. So unless you've done a lot of it, I just want you to know that you will get a really, really wonderful stimulus, even if you don't use weight. Just doing this movement pattern is such a leg and core engager, just like we talked about the single leg squat being such a high intensity on that one leg. You kind of get the same thing here. The point of performance that we really want to see is from here, slight bend in my knee. I'm not bending like I'm doing a deadlift. I'm going to keep my chest and my hips square off, straighting forward and backwards. From here, I'm going to send this leg back as I tilt forward. Another catch there. Now what I want to do is keep this stabilized and keep my hips square. Squeeze my butt right here, and then come back up and together. Now what I don't want to do is it's really easy to do this, so if you really want to lock it down and take your time on this, you want to make sure you're not opening your hips up like this. Now even a minute bit, you can feel it's suddenly like you're open here versus here, and you feel your obliques really turning on. So you want to make sure you keep that locked down. If that's a little difficult, I've got a stool right here we can use for just a little bit of balance. You got to be honest with yourself about how much assistance you're giving yourself. And I definitely feel that in my MRF and hamstrings, okay? So we're gonna do 10 on each side. Now, I have a past life as a filmmaker. So these are 25 pounds of sand in each one. So I'm gonna start off with this, 2 hands on, shoulder set back. I'm gonna see If I start to lose my balance, a slight bend in my knee really helps. And then back up. I'm going to do 10 on that side and then 10 on the other. You can also use the bag of books that we use for our lunges and sumo deadlift high pulls. Use a book bag if you want. Anything you want for weight, just try to hold that in your hands and shut your shoulders back, okay? So that's 3 sets of 10 on each side, so altogether you're gonna do 60 of those. 30 on one side, 30 on the other, all right? Next, we're gonna move into the standards for the workout of the day. And there's a lot of those too. And then we'll do a time lapse of me trying my best. All right, now standards for the actual workout today that we're gonna do are going to be some workout on the pike push-up. We can start off on the floor. We can elevate our legs to our couch or a stool. I'm probably gonna try and use a stool because I want to get my boots on the ground. But I like wearing boots when I'm doing pistols, so I'm not gonna take my shoes off. And we're talking about the modifications for pistols as well. Lots of options there. And then, of course, we're going to talk about the standards for these bent over rows, okay? If you have 2 weights, you could just go 15 on each side instead of doing 15 and then 15. So, I'll cut that. I probably won't cut that. Who cares? So, first of all, let's talk about those pike push-ups. Want to get that overhead stretching. So, from here, your first line of intensity is going to be pike push-ups from the ground. Try to keep that chin tucked to my chest. Start out that way. If you can do that, you are in a great progression towards being able to do a lot of overhead strength, a lot of pressing strength. Now, if I'm a little bit better at that, I'm ready for a little bit more intensity, I'm going to elevate my feet. I will very briefly put my boots on the arm of this couch. From here, now the cool thing about that is that no, I'm not going to do kipping handstand push-ups like I would do for a traditional Mary, but since I'm not kipping, I'm actually getting a lot of intensity all the way through that range of motion. So do not ever think that not kipping is not awesome. It's very intense that way, okay? Kipping is so that you can go high volume, high speed, all right? Then I might end up getting up over here to a high version. And then if you have a handstand push-up and you have a space for it, go for it. I'm not going to coach the handstand push-up through my phone today. Now next, we're going to have our single leg squats. Now that is as easy as getting a short seat. I'll use this one here. And go ahead and sitting down. And then standing up again. Then with the other leg, sitting down, standing up again. It just catches you before you bottom out of the bottom. That's the hardest part of these single leg squats, is that balance and that starting strength to come out of the pocket. So that just kind of keeps you shy of that. As you get more proficient at these, make that target a little bit lower until one day it is gone. I'll try a couple of these now. I'm trying these cold, so no judging. Ooh, getting there. That's the floor's full. I'll get it, don't worry. And then if you want, you can also use a weight. Holding this weight in your hands in front of you will counterweight you, so it's easier to keep your balance. As you can see, I had a much better time with that. Now this is 25 pounds, so doing it is actually going to add even more weight to your leg so that its stimulus gets really magnified. It also helps you keep balance, so I say go for it if you want to. No reason not to. And then the last thing is going to be the bent over rows. If you have a pull-up bar and you have pull-ups, feel free to go for it. Otherwise, if you have one weight, you can go ahead and pick it up. I want to see hips back, knees slightly bent, back is straight, chest is proud. From here, bring that elbow close and up. And if you have two, same thing. Once you're done with that, drop it and get back to the next round, okay? That'll be it, guys. We'll talk about the standards and the warm-ups for the prep for the WOD 2. This will be a long video for you guys today. My gracious.